In November 2025, my husband and I took a weekend road trip to New Orleans. I'll show you what adventures we got up to. We arrived at our hotel room in the heart of the French Quarter. Our first evening, we explored the area, checking out what all the streets had to offer. Royal Street, Conti Street, and the bright lights of Bourbon Street. We found a gift shop, which we returned to before we left for home to pick up some souvenirs, which I'll show you in my next video. We found so many amazing and interesting art galleries. And there were many walking tours, and some in a horse and cart. I really enjoyed the architecture of the buildings and all of the lights throughout the streets. We headed back to Bourbon Street, where we found a bar that served good craft beer, and there was a live band playing. The next day, we walked to Louis Armstrong Park, where the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation were hosting their annual Gumbo Festival. There was an abundance of arts and crafts stalls, and live jazz music being played all afternoon. The park itself was so peaceful. It wasn't overly crowded, and I loved the jazz in the background. There was a truly autumnal feel in the air, with the various greens, oranges, and golden browns, and the crisp leaves scattered on the ground. There were ducks and other birds swimming on the lakes. There's something about water that makes a place feel tranquil. We, of course, tried the gumbo and a few other dishes along the way. Next, we headed to Canal Street to check out the shops. We saw the trams. Then we walked along the waterfront. And we ended up at the French market. Unfortunately, I didn't have the courage to try gator on a stick. We ended our day of exploring walking along Frenchman Street, where we saw another carriage ride before back to our hotel for dinner. The last day was very cold, so we spent it inside at the Sazerac House Museum and learned all about the history of cocktail culture in New Orleans, the discovery and production of bitters, and tasted a sample of the famous Sazerac cocktail. Surprisingly, the museum was free to enter. There were 3 floors of it, absolutely stacked with information. And the best part was, they offered you free samples of 3 different cocktails as you went around. They had a virtual bar where a bartender made us a gin and tonic.
My sister got me into using this brand. It's named after the New Orleans bartender who first served the famous Fabulous Gin Fizz. Fizz is one of my favorite brunch cocktails. But I will take a gin and tonic anytime.
In 1941, after 300 years of evolution and refinement, today we're living in the golden age of rum. Premium rums like Young and Wolf showcase the spirit's incredible taste, texture, and versatility.
gift shop was a lovely way to end the tour, and we enjoyed seeing the cocktail equipment and unique memorabilia that they had to offer. It was stocked with all of the different bottles that we'd learned about in the tour, and there were complimentary recipe cards so you could make your own cocktails at home. We may have come home with an item or two, which I'll show you in my next video. There wasn't much left to showcase for the rest of the trip as we headed home the next morning, but making sure we stopped off at Bucky's on the way back.